The following is a presentation of AOW Productions.
The views and opinions expressed by the host of this program do not necessarily state or reflect those of this station or its management.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Patriot Confederation for the 23rd of July, 2024. I'm your host, Bad Billy, out of Twin Falls, Idaho, joined as always by John Grosvenor out of Nashua, New Hampshire, New England area. What's going on up there, brother?
Not a whole heck of a lot, Billy. I know I'm doing a lot better than a former Secret Service director. I'll tell you what, man, they tore that girl up.
Yeah, well, I'll be bringing our guest in just a second, but I just got to say there is a lot happening. Oh, my goodness.
Jeez.
We're talking, it's like a tidal wave of stuff is hitting us. I mean, it all started last week, of course, with the attempted assassination. Then this week, Biden steps out of the race. And then, all this hype around that idiot Kamala. I mean, she is a joke.
She is the poster child of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
And then we've got Cheadle, who should have been fired before she had the chance to resign. And to top it all off, could Yellowstone be starting to erupt as Biscuit Basin explodes? Oh, my goodness.
Jeez, wow. Louise, dude, that goes off. It's going to be biblical.
Yeah, well, you know what? I won't feel anything, and I'll go out rather quickly. So,
what was that movie there with I can't think of the actor's name now. He used to play in Cheers many years ago. He played Woody. God, I can't think of his name. Harrelson. There, he played that role where the volcano was going off, and he was out there. It's beautiful as he's taken out.
Yeah. Of course, maybe our guest can tell us a few things about volcanoes as I bring her in. All right, we have Michelle Melendez out of Hawaii. Aloha. Thank you very much for joining us.
Aloha, everyone. Mahalo so much for having me.
Yes.
Awesome to have you on.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I can tell you a few things about volcanoes. We have an active one here. I'm here on Big Island and super grateful to live on this island, but we have an active volcano, and we had another one, Mauna Loa, erupted last year, and it's pretty amazing to be on to living on an active volcano. But one thing I love about our volcano here is that she's a shield volcano, so she's always moving, and when she doesn't, that's when we all kind of get a little worried. So she's doing good right now.
That's how the islands were created, was off that volcano. So basically it was creating land by erupting in the ocean, created one island. As it shifted, then it started creating a second island, if I understand correctly.
Well, this island has actually been created by 7 volcanoes. This one has 7 volcanoes that made Big Island, and all of the Hawaii islands can fit into Big Island. That's how big we are. We're pretty massive over here. And there's another one in South Point. Supposedly it's somewhere in South Point that's creating another island off of the Big Island. But that we won't see that in our lifetime. That's going to be a little bit of time.
When I was a kid, they had an ad saying land. They don't make it anymore. Somebody trying to sell real estate. I think it's still being made.
Yeah, absolutely.
That, yeah. You know, I just got to tell you really quick, too. I remember when I first actually got started in martial arts, my background, of course, is primarily Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but where I actually got introduced was American Kempo, which was founded by Ed Parker, who is a native Hawaiian, by the way. And he got chosen to play a role in a B movie back in 1979. He played an assassin named Mauna Loa.
We have Mauna Loa volcano / mountain here on Big Island, and from sea level, because it's actually under the sea, it's most of the island. Mauna Loa is most of the island. It actually peaks in the middle, but it starts way south of Kona and comes up, and it's actually taller than Mount Everest from the bottom floor sea level to the top part, to the peak. So I've actually hiked some of it, and it's pretty amazing. Mauna Loa, to have somebody named Mauna Loa, that's pretty powerful.
Well, what they said was, like I said, Ed Parker played a professional assassin in that movie. And so he goes through through it to get his target, and he kills like 7 people in 15 seconds. And the detective working the case goes total overkill, Mauna Loa, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Hawaii's biggest volcano has just erupted."
Yep, yeah, she's definitely the biggest one for sure. And when she erupted, it was on the side. So a lot of times people think that volcanoes just erupt out of the top plume, but it wasn't for her. Here's the top, and she erupted right on the side, which they can erupt anywhere because you don't know where the hot spots are, and the hot spots move. So, I was kind of crossing my fingers that she'd take out the military base that's up there on Saddle Road, but she didn't. I think she thought about it, but she didn't do it.
Well, remember, Mount St. Helens was a lateral destructive eruption too. Yes, I mean,
was that movie called
Which one?
Sorry, was that movie called Kill the Golden Goose?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I'll have to look at that. Sorry, I interrupted you, but I had to know.
It's a B movie, but they didn't get very popular. Yes.
A lot of martial arts movies are pretty much B movies. Some of them, they call them A movies, but they're still... I mean, the action's great, but, the acting and stuff and storyline is kind of silly in most of them.
Yes. Michelle, I first met you about a month ago in South Dakota at the Red Pill Expo, and we had about a 20-minute conversation.
Yep.
And
over this book.
That's right, over that book. Yes, and I definitely want to talk more about that. From emphasizing more on land grabs and 15-minute cities, which is a scary thing.
Yes, this book is called Great Maui Land Grab, What Caused the Maui Fire, and is your home next. And there's only one place currently you can get it, and that website is greatmauifire.com. If you go to greatmauifire.com, you can order this and learn more about it, and also learn more about the fire that happened in Maui. Well, first of all, the book has 9 different weather events that are very questionable, like linear clouds that go up to the Hawaii Islands and don't go past them. Can you imagine? There's a guy we have on Maui. His name is Bruce Douglas, and he has been studying the weather on the islands for 15 years. And he literally was on Maui when this happened, when the fire happened. The day before, he sat on his lanai and saw these linear clouds going up to Maui, but not going past, and he knew something was wrong. And thank God for him, because we actually have the satellite images showing the weather the day before and the day of, and then again the day after. Everything goes back to normal. But there's 9 different questionable weather events throughout in the book that show people something's off. And the other thing I wanted to share really briefly is that when people think that they can't, and I'm sure your audience knows that they can change the weather, but how long they've been doing this and is studying this, it was since World War II. So since the late 40s, they've been studying how to manipulate the weather and control the weather. And there's even an act in Congress, I believe it's October 13th, 1976, that is the Weather Modification Act, that allows Congress to research more modification of the weather. So it's very real.
Yes. Now, something else that I should have thought about this when I spoke to you back in South Dakota, but it slipped my mind, but I just remembered, because I spoke to Elvis Sinisic out in Australia, and he talked about the internment camps that they started building before, and he said it was just kind of odd to him that after those great big fires they had back in 2019 in Australia, they started building those internment camps right there on that scorched land. Something's kind of amiss there. And then, of course, over You think they're going to close down the camps and tear them down, but they're still there. What are they preparing for? What is going on?
We actually, one of my friends told me that he went hiking and saw some structures that looked like they could hold people, and he was wondering what they were doing there. So I hear what you're saying. We are definitely we're up against some evil stuff, and it's really great that there's channels like yours. And then I have my own YouTube channel as well. I'm actually in YouTube jail right now because I interviewed the apricot guy with the B-17. And I'm not going to say too much more than that because I don't want you to get a strike. But and I knew I was playing on the line, but that's where we got to play. We kind of got to play, on that fine line and see which way see which way it goes. So I'm really grateful to be on here and be talking. But it's definitely something especially with the camps, that people need to kind of take a look at, very seriously.
Well, Michelle, do not worry about what you say here, because this video will be taken down off of YouTube once the podcast is over. I do that every time because they've already got me. I mean, once in a while, see, John's part of another conservative talk show that I sometimes step in, and it was like a couple days after I got back from South Dakota, I was repeating some of the stuff that Dr. Merritt told me. That ended up getting my channel a strike because I didn't take the video down in time.
She's pretty amazing. She's amazing. She also interviewed me as well, and we went down lots of different rabbit holes. Because one thing I want to share with people about this book, Great Maui Land Grab. So again, you can get it at greatmauifire.com. It's not just about the fire. Because I've been studying, and I know, a lot of us have been studying what's been going on for a long time. My journey started about, I'd say, close to 10 years ago. But it also gives a chronological history of how the banking elite family has taken over the United States of America, which started after the Civil War. And I'm reading a book now called 0 Point, which is blowing my mind right now. But the book, it goes over how the banking elite families have taken over, and why did Maui burn like that? Why did they literally murder the people there, especially the children? So one thing people need to understand is there was about, I can't remember if it's 3,000 or 4,000 Keiki children that are in Lahaina School District. The school was out that day, which means the children were home usually by themselves or with an auntie or their grandparents. But there was no warning system. There's a warning system down the street from my house and they put these warning systems on. They test them every first Sunday of the month at noon. They're always going off. No warning system to tell people that there was any danger. And so the children, they say there's only 3 children that died officially. There's no way that's possible. I interviewed Ellie Cochran, who is a state representative in Lahaina, who grew up in Lahaina, was there during the fire, barely escaped the fire. And she said, Michelle, there's no way the death toll is accurate, and there's no way that only 3 children died. They had the cars lining up on Front Street. Not one car door is open. That tells me, if there's a fire coming and you see it's coming, you're going to get out of your car and you're going to run. You're not going to stop and shut the door. But what it tells me is that something happened very quickly, and we actually have graphic bodies in the book that show you pictures of what these bodies looked like. And that's one of the reasons why I think they put up a dust screen. This is the only fire where they had a 5-mile dust screen that surrounded the whole entire burn zone. 5 miles long of a dust screen. They didn't allow residents back to their home or media. It was a complete media blackout. They wouldn't let people fly drones over the area for 3 months. So they're absolutely trying to hide something. And let's go back to the bodies briefly. These bodies, we're talking a dog, a toad, a human body, they're charred. They're not burned to death. They're not burned from the outside in. You can see the entire body. On the dog, you see his ears, his nose, his paws of his feet. You can even see, this one video shows, you can see kind of what his hair looked like. The toad is jumping in mid-jump. And my friend found it when he was volunteering over there, and he found it in the burn zone, completely hollow on the inside, but he's holding the body. And this person, man or woman, we don't know, is lying flat on the ground, and you can see the corn rolls in their hair. So they're African American, and you can literally see the markings of their hair. You can see all their fingers just black charred. So this is not normal. When you have a burned body, it burns from the outside in. These bodies burn somehow from the inside out. And I did interview an arborist, a 48-year tree arborist, who said that, because I asked him, I said, how does a fire not burn organic material? And he said, because the chemistry of the fire, the actual chemistry of the fire, doesn't recognize the chemistry of the organics. So it will melt metal, it will melt glass, but it won't burn an organic being. It won't burn a tree. The trees burn from the inside out because the water burned. The water, it wasn't the actual organic material. So there's a lot of crazy anomalies. The book has 23 fire anomalies that leave people going, how in the world is this possible? And it's because we're under attack. We're under attack.
So, first off, the way you're describing the bodies too. I mean, I'm going back to volcanoes again, but thinking back to the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, when the archaeologists found, basically the bodies that became sculptures when the city was engulfed. It sounds a little bit similar to that, but something much worse.
Yeah, I agree with that. Pompeii is another example of something like this. So, and I just want to say this too. I've been studying a lot of things. We do not know the world we live in. I'll just say that. This world is not what they say it is. And these, the reason I'm saying that is because we don't know how far back direct energy weapons go. From our current society right now, they have been studying direct energy weapons from the 50s and 60s, and there is a Direct Energy Weapons Acquisition Act of 2016 that literally states the Department of Defense has been working and studying direct energy weapons since the 60s, and they've spent over $6 billion. Can you imagine spending over $6 billion in the 60s? And they've spent over $6 billion in the 60s on direct energy weapons, but they're worried that they couldn't bring the program to complete fruition. So Congress took it over. That act was in 2016. And then U.S. tax dollars helped fund and finish the direct energy weapons program that in my opinion and research shows that, I believe that is what was used in Maui, as well as other places. Like I'm from Chico originally, Chico, California. Paradise was my first job, was in Paradise. And after that fire, I went up and looked at it. I saw the same thing as Maui. I saw complete houses completely intact, no scorch, but the houses next to them, one house in the whole neighborhood is there with their white picket fence, and all of the houses around them completely turned to white ash. Okay, that's impossible. That's impossible, especially for a house not to leave a stove or a toilet or a refrigerator or the foundation. There's something else involved. And it really, we need to know, we need to acknowledge that. It's so easy for people just to go, oh, that's over there, that's not going to happen to me. Think again, because my hometown, Oroville, California, I was there a couple weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, and then the week after I left, it gets on fire. And one of my friends, she's totally on the other side of the fence than me, but I gave her the book. And I said, and I love her to death. We don't argue or anything like that about stuff. She calls me and she's like, Michelle, what's going on? She goes, this one area just burned. The area on the mountain is burning. She's like, what's going on? I said, read the chapter called Who Owns America? Read that chapter and you will start to see what the heck is happening. So
another thing I want to point out too is this last weekend I attended a concert. Fun times. And during the concert, I was directed to go look at the moon. We had a full moon that night, and it looked to be a blood moon. It was a beautiful kind of red moon. Come to find out that it was only cause of smoke turning the color of the moon, because it wasn't a blood moon at all. It was smoke doing that, because as the night progressed, and you know how the Earth turns and the moon gets higher up in the sky, the moon turned its natural white color.
Yeah.
So there's definitely fires going on. But I want to emphasize something you're saying too. Don't think this can happen to your home. Maybe it's not going to happen in the same fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So let's focus on land grabs. See, we go to break in about 8 minutes or so. But land grabs, let's focus on that and where it's happening. Obviously, I'm pretty sure that was what was happening in Australia in 2019. We know it's happening in South Africa. I mean, they're using the excuse that the white settlers stole the land and then started apartheid and all that. But there's something much more going on. I mean, okay, why does China own the greater majority of Zimbabwe, and they're putting nuclear warheads where farms used to be? Mm-hmm. There's that. Then there, of course, there's my good friend Ammon Bundy, who's in plenty of trouble right now and had to file bankruptcy over his latest case against St. Luke's Hospital. But let's think about the very first time he got in trouble with the law in Southern Nevada, defending his family's ranch against the FBI and the Bureau of Land Management coming in, killing their cattle for no reason, fights over water rights, and basically all the ranches with that within that area are gone except for the Bundy Ranch, because they put up a fight that couldn't be lost at that time. But it's not going to say they're going to try again. Private property is at stake.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter if you own half an acre or you own 20 acres, they're after it. I mean, and Klaus Schwab has already talked about the seizure of private property. So,
yeah, and that's another thing around Karl Schwab, because the WEF, World Economic Forum, he talks about stakeholder theory, or the stakeholder. It's not theory. It's another word for that. But that word, stakeholder, everybody watching this, you need to go to your planning department and look at your general plan. Even if you don't read the whole thing, copy it, put it into a Google or Word, and click find stakeholder, and see how many times that word stakeholder is written in your general plan. Here on Big Island, we have the word stakeholder written 47 times in a 200-page document, and the word homeowner written 0 times. 0 times. So it is really important for everybody to keep an eye and watch on your planning department and what bills they are wanting to pass right now, especially this year. We've been really fighting with our planning department because they're astronomically raising taxes for small farmers, and that will they want to end small farmers here on Big Island. I don't know how else to describe that, because the amount of somebody's taxes is going to go from their small farm, because they're not commercial. They want people to have either commercial farms or not to have a small farm to feed themselves. They say, oh, if you're feeding yourself, you're not supporting the community. But actually, if you're feeding yourself, you're not a burden on the community. So you actually are supporting the community. But what this one farmer's tax bill will be, it'll go from $300 a year to $4,000 a year. That is what this tax hike is going to do for the farmers here on Big Island. And we're working to get in to see the mayor now, because it's been standing room only to talk to these county council members who I think are Nazis sent here to destroy the islands here. But that's my opinion. But the other thing I want to share around that is that there was a bill that was trying to be passed in Maui, and it was 3381, and it's in the book, and I take you through every single line that is absolutely authoritarian, and it's crazy. They wanted to take the entire west coast of Maui. Okay, let me just show you. Lahaina is a small town, very small little town. They wanted to take the entire west coast of Maui, which is like this big, and Lahaina is a dot right here, and say they wanted to rebuild whatever needs, and they said their language is very specific, whatever needs to be rebuilt, not rebuild in Lahaina. We want to rebuild, but they don't say in Lahaina. So they tried to take the entire west coast of Maui and give it to a 9-member board and actually take it out of the Maui governance. It was going to be governed completely separate than Maui. And I could go into a list of things that were very authoritarian in these bills, but thank God it stopped. It died. And the only reason it died was because the chair of a committee didn't put it on the agenda. So over 200 people said opposed it. 16 people supported it. It went through to the next agency, and that chair did not put it on the agenda, so the bill died. But other bills like it can come forth, so it's really important for everyone. Take a look at your planning department, because our power is not just knowing what happened, that Maui was attacked, but taking action. And that's the other thing that the book shares, and I'm just going to share it again. It's a Great Maui Land Grab, and you can get it at greatmaui.fire.com. That's the website, the only place currently you can get it, greatmaui.fire.com. It does give you information at the end of the book of what we can do as far as using the Constitution, the original Constitution, to fight these bureaucrats and these Nazis that are trying to bring in the United Nations Agenda 2030. So that we do have power, everybody, still. We're not alone.
Well, it was Clay Douglas who I first started listening to, even though I know he goes on anti-Semitic rants that I don't like, but he was so on point with just about everything else. And when I sat down and talked to him on the phone, I mean, I'm just going to repeat once again what he has told me, and that is, when the Satanic New World Order takes over, the first group of people they go after is the farmers. Why the farmers?
Food.
Because they are self-sufficient and know how to take care of themselves and don't need the government's help. So they got to take out the government, because the government wants you to depend on them for everything you need. What are they going to give you? Bugs? And then, of course, the second group of people they plan on taking out are those like me and John and whoever, especially military personnel who are faithful to the old regime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also feel that this is a spiritual war, because also in the book there's a prayer at the end of every single chapter, because we have to remember that we're not alone, and not just with each other, but there's a consciousness. There's a consciousness. This is not empty space.
Go on.
Okay.
Finish what you were saying really quick.
I'm just saying this is not empty space. There is a frequency field that is powerful than any of us, and including this satanic Nazis.
John, I know we haven't given you much of a chance to speak, but did you have any questions looming around in your head?
Well, actually, she was talking about that cloud, or what do you call it, linear cloud, and I was kind of wondering if you had any idea or thoughts what that might have been.
Yeah, absolutely. And I live on a farm, so you're going to see sometimes some keiki children around here. The harp dome, well, it was some type of a frequency of, we have a HARP dome in the Honolulu harbor, and we have a HARP dome, which is a high frequency Aurora, the whole name is escaping me right now, but we also have a HARP dome here on Big Island, which is the closest to Maui it can get. Maui's right in between these two HARP domes, one on Honolulu and Oahu, and one right on Big Island, and then Maui sits right in the middle. So what this apparatus can do is it can heat up the ionosphere, and then it can shut it off, and then it can heat it up, and then it can shut it off, and that can actually make these linear clouds. Now, I don't know why they want to do that or what that does, but we have the technology here on the islands to do that very, very easily. Not only did my friend Bruce Douglas see these clouds on Maui, but I had a friend who works for national security who was flying outside of Kona over Maui the day before the fire, and she saw these weird clouds. She said she saw blue sky, then cloud, then blue sky, then cloud. She said she's never seen it in all of her 30 years of being a national security contractor. She actually goes, the national security hires her to go and teach certain skills. And so she was flying over Maui the day before the fire and saw these clouds as well. So these clouds went up to the Hawaii Islands, didn't go past. The day before, they also did that the day of. They went up and they didn't go past the islands. And then the final day, the day after the fire, the clouds were fine. They weren't linear, they were normal. They went past the islands, everything was normal. But we actually have satellite images that show this.
So when you talk about direct energy weapons, back in the day, you were talking about the 60s and stuff, and they used a long time ago, they used microwave energy as a anti-air device for warfare and stuff like that, to take planes or helicopters out of the sky when they fly into a microwave field, which ironically your cell phone runs off microwaves. It's a type of radio wave, right? But I'm wondering, because you're talking about these bodies that were cooked from the inside out, and that's what microwave energy does. Is Correct. It irradiates and heats up by the water molecules in the food item to heat up the food. It's the water that's activated that causes food to heat. Do you think that's what it was a type of microwave energy, or do you think it may have been something else?
No, I've interviewed, again, the 48-year arborist, and he said it was microwave energy, and a 33-year fire captain. He's been in the fire service for 33 years and a fire captain for, I think, 10 or 15 years. He said also he believes it was microwave energy. He said there's no way that's a normal fire. Normal fires don't do what this did. They don't melt cars. Let me tell you something else around this. The blue items that didn't burn. A friend of mine, in the book, there's actually a picture of my friend's stove. And my friend's stove, so all of these houses are just white ash. That's the only thing left. Except my friend has this stove. The whole outside is burned up. The glass is melted. The racks are warped. But inside her stove is this beautiful, bright, royal blue color. It's shining inside her stove, and I have a picture of it. It's in the book. And the reason why blue things, that we believe, the reason why blue things don't burn is because whatever laser this was, I believe it was a sapphire laser, which there's a patent in the book, shows you a patent for an apparatus that uses a sapphire laser. And what is the color of sapphire? It's blue. And the frequency and the wavelength of a blue sapphire laser match the color blue. It's the same wavelength. So somehow it reflects it and it doesn't absorb the laser, so anything blue won't burn. There was a paper ticket, completely paper, no singe marks on it, completely blue, pulled out of white ash. There was six or seven blue t-shirts, completely blue t-shirts, not one hole, sitting in white ash, on top of white ash. The blue Tommy Bahama umbrellas, not one scorched, all of them completely fine. Blue cars didn't burn. A blue boat didn't burn on the harbor, but yet the other boats were completely gone. So what is that? That, in my opinion, I believe it was the sapphire laser. I can't prove it, obviously, but that is what I believe and I feel it was.
So you think this is a laser came from outer space or something off a satellite or?
Have to. It could come from a boat. It could come from a drone. There's a drone called the Morpheus on Lockheed Martin, which does exactly what you said. It actually has microwave energy on it on board to shoot other lasers out of the sky. Could have been that. Whatever it was, it happened immediately. So the good thing about the one saving grace of the victims of this fire is I believe it was something that was immediate, because this frog is jumping in midair. It's frozen. I even have a picture of an owl. Someone in Lahaina found an owl and completely frozen in place. The dog was its legs out. It was like running. And the firefighter said, animals will hide under something and they'll cover themselves. This dog was running or walking or something. So whatever happened quite quickly, thank God. And then they were, again, from the inside out. So you were right about the microwave heating up the water molecules inside, and then they're done. And
So was this a particular shade of blue? I gotta know, because see, Billy and I were prone to wearing black. We just seem to love the color black, but I'm thinking it's time to change the attire.
well, you know what's funny? It's any blue. It's any blue. It's not a particular color blue. But you know what's funny is that the UN military wears baby blue helmets. And they literally state the reason why they're baby blue helmets is because they don't want the snipers to mistake them for the enemy. Okay, like the other snipers on the other side are gonna not see their bright baby blue helmets. I mean, we're talking baby blue helmets on a soldier.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. So they're definitely doing it for some reason, and I think it is. So I don't think it's a particular color blue.
I think the blue helmets go way back for a lot of years, decades ago.
50s,
But
56,
yeah,
I think.
I don't know that. It's kind of funny to me too that when maybe they didn't have construction orange or yellow or something back then. But it seems to me that's what you'd be wearing, right? To make yourself known that it's like wearing the Red Cross during World War II. You didn't shoot somebody who was wearing the Red Cross uniform because they were neutral.
Yeah. Yeah, in hospital, helping somebody in the hospital. But yeah, so all of this information again is on Great Maui Land Grab, you guys. You can get it at greatmauifire.com. If you have any normie friends, give them this book, because what's great about it is that people want to know what happened with Maui, and then it opens them up to seeing why did this happen. So it also talks about climate change, sustainable energy, smart cities, because Maui is set to be the first smart city or smart island here in Hawaii.
What's a smart city? Is that like a 15-minute city or?
It is complete and total. Smart. There's no real definition, official definition for smart, but it is. Most people who look at it know that it means surveillance, monitoring, analysis, reporting technology, which means everything is going to be surveillanced. Not just your phones, but everything. And it does lean toward 15-minute smart cities. And this is what they wanted for Maui. They being the Hawaiian and Japanese stakeholders, they've decided this in 2011 and 2016. They had meetings and decided that Maui was going to be a first smart city. These people were not elected. The regular people were not told about this. And a lot of people think, oh, Michelle, this is so great, sustainable energy. You don't understand that sustainable energy is actually more expensive and it is shown to be more dangerous. Mm-hmm. So people don't understand that. The book shows not just, it shows experts in their field sharing this information. That a friend of mine, she even talked about the lithium battery that's with cobalt and everything for the electric cars that actually removes calcium from the cells when you're seated on it in a Tesla car or car, whatever car that has one of those big old batteries in it. It actually is detrimental to the cells. It can be, I should say. not it is, but it can be or has been shown to be, because it reduces calcium in your cells because of the battery. Something with the EMFs in the batteries pulls that out. So people think these sustainable energies are going to be, that change the world for the better. No, actually what it's going to do, it's going to make you be more of a slave, because they can turn off the grid at any time they want. And then where's your electric car going to be? It's going to be sitting in the garage. So get a horse, or something.
Well, Michelle, I mean, oh man. No, I was actually talking about investing in horses because of how much they're pushing electric cars. And some idiot, some woke, brainwashed idiot overheard me and said horses are flatulent and that's bad for the environment.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let me tell you this other thing I have about climate change, okay?
I didn't even respond. I left.
Wow. Because, everybody's going, oh, it's the climate. I have expert after expert. I should count how many experts I have in the book that talk about how there is no climate danger. The global warming, this Dr. David Dilley, who is a meteorologist, a retired meteorologist for the Navy, literally says, he talks about this Milankovitch cycle and how the sun was closer to the earth 800 years ago, that we're actually going toward a cooling phase right now, not a warming phase. And also there's over close to 2,000 certified scientists, meteorologists, climatologists, geologists, all kinds of scientists from around the world. If you go to Global Declaration, World Declaration, I believe that is World Declaration. I could get the link for you guys, but the link is in the book. They've actually stated there's no climate danger. So close to 2,000 scientists from around the world have literally stated that. And the reason why, and then check this one out, you guys. Hawaii Governor Green went to the United Nations and spoke at the United Nations. This is what turned my key up to start speaking about this, because he completely lied. I was thinking to myself, why is a governor going to speak to the world leaders at the United Nations? And it's because the Maui fire was the opportunity to keep spewing the climate change narrative. Because the whole time he kept going, this is climate change, this is climate change. No, it wasn't climate change. A climate change, it doesn't melt a car, but leave a tree there. Leave a tree fully standing, fully intact, burned from the inside out with palm fronds on top of it. That's what happened with the fire. And so
climate change is not real. It's made up. Bravo, Sierra. And to get to what you were talking about, mining for cobalt and lithium and all that, and they talk about how good this is going to be for the planet. Have you seen the craters that after they've been mining for these substances, and they're not just mining, they're strip mining.
Yeah.
That is bad for the planet. And if you look at these craters, then it's not good.
And the people who mine it, they die. They have very short lives. They're very much harmed by this.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the origins of climate change?
Yeah, actually, I have part of that in the book, Eunice, right? Are you talking about Eunice?
No, I'm talking about Guy Callender. A little-known amateur scientist called Guy Callender makes history by discovering the planet has warmed. In 1938, steam engineer Callender decided to take a break from his day job and began to painstakingly collecting records from 147 weather stations across the world. Doing all the calculations by hand, he discovered global temperatures had risen 0.3 degrees Celsius. So basically some hobbyist scientists in the middle of nowhere up and decided, hey, you know what, the earth is warming up, and it took off from there. In 1938?
That's right. And there was another woman, Eunice, I forget her last name, but this story's in the book if you want to learn about that too, because what she did was she took carbon carbon dioxide, and she didn't use plants, and she actually did an experiment, and it's something with cylinders, but she found that that the cylinder with carbon dioxide heated up more, and so all of a sudden, and there was a lot of different scientists that then got on board with these experiments. But here's the thing is that they actually know, scientists who study the weather know that the Earth weather temperature changes between 800 and 2,000 years before carbon dioxide changes. Carbon dioxide is a symptom of the Earth heating or cooling versus carbon dioxide creating the Earth heating or cooling. So it's not the cause, it's a symptom of it. And so this is a complete and utter lie of what they're sharing.
Well, when it's only 0.4, by scientist standards, there's only 0.04% carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere, which makes it optimum for Earth survival. It's like, wait a minute, what do you know about global warming? This is optimum. This is great. This is what we need. If it got less, and trees would die, we'd have oxygen issues. All sorts of things would happen.
You are so right, John. And also Greg Braden was talking about that. He says we're actually at a precipice that if we lose more carbon dioxide, we could die because the plants breathe it. And if they die, we die. So you're right.
And also to make carbon dioxide for drinks and stuff, they actually have to physically do that because it's too difficult to pull it out of the Earth's atmosphere because there's so little of it in the Earth's atmosphere. It's crazy because they make a big deal on it. It's something like you said, it's cyclical. It comes and goes. I commonly like to point to the American Revolution because during the American Revolution, when you read history books, you see that we were fighting a war for freedom in this nation during a mini ice age. So obviously from that point on, yes, the Earth has warmed, but it's cyclical. As I think you described it earlier.
Well, there's the Earth goes through all kinds of different phases to if it needs to heat up or cool off, and getting back once again to the subject of volcanoes, following the eruption of Krakatoa, for at least the next 2 winters after Krakatoa were brutal. But then it warmed up. But Krakatoa was probably the last really major eruption, probably before Yellowstone's about to hit.
All those particulates in the Earth's atmosphere blocking out the sun makes a very, very cold Earth.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. They're wanting to, and also here's the thing too. People don't understand that there is something happening with our solar system. My friend who works for national security actually talked to me about this, and she said that she thinks that's also why they're trying to block out the sun, because the frequency, and we are not taught about frequencies and the body, what this body really is. That's. It's the sun matters. The sun touching us, the sun shining on us, that frequency makes a difference in our health in a really good way versus bad way. The sun has been demonized when we should actually be honoring when we go outside and having the opportunity to feel that frequency of the sun. But they are definitely here in the islands too. It's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be at all. And it's really interesting, especially Kona side, because the clouds usually stay on top of the mountain. And now on Kona side, they go all the way to the beach. And that's not normal for Kona to have a bunch of clouds over you when you're at the beach. It's usually a bright blue sky. So
when it comes to frequency and stuff, that hits on quantum level. Quantum mechanics and stuff will describe that to you with subatomic particles and stuff and how they operate. And it does actually, there are frequencies.
Correct.
It all matters. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I do my prayers every single time I do a video, because our frequency of trusting, of not just trusting, it's not begging. When I pray, I don't beg. I say, thank you, Great Spirit, for allowing us to watch the show as we watch everybody who does not value human life being stepped down from office, voluntarily removing or being removed, voluntarily stepping down or peaceably being removed from office. And we get to watch that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you get in gratitude for what it is that you want to see coming. And then the other part that I do is I there, Einstein said that time was not linear, it was vertical. So everything is happening at one time, and we can't, like, being a human being, it's hard to fathom that. But if that's true, then there is a time when we are free right now. It is happening right now. It's on a vertical timeline. And so this is what I did when the COVID mandates were happening. I was like, Michelle, there's a part of you right now living without these mandates. And I would just get into gratitude so much, knowing that that time was coming. So now I get into gratitude knowing that there's a time that we are living in a world where the demons are off the planet, and we are free, and our children are free and safe, and we get to live and be in a world where we're unified and enjoy being alive. And that's happening right now. And so I feel that gratitude in this present moment, and it starts to come forward even more quickly. And that's something that I offer your viewers right now, because every single one of us is going through some type of trauma right now, and it can be really hard. And I just want you to know that you're not alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're coming up close to the end of the show. One thing I've just got to ask off topic. Is that a hut behind you?
No, these are the palm trees. These are palm trees. All of them.
Yeah,
this
like
one. Oh wait, this one right there.
Yeah, it looks like
that.
A hut. You see it and everything. Yeah, it looks like a.
It totally look like that. It totally could look like that for sure. It's actually a tree that is covered by a vine called lilikoi, and which is really, really good fruit. Super yummy. But the vine has actually wrapped itself around the tree, so we need to get that off there. But it does look like a hut, Billy.
It does. It does. Yes, I'm from the Rockies. I'm used to pine trees and maybe a patch of snow and the Green River, Blue Lakes, whatever. But that right there, thanks for bringing that scenery, because at least I get to view that somewhat. That is beautiful.
Yeah, mahalo for that. Yeah, these islands are very special, and so I just want to share one more time your audience. Great Maui land grab. Get it at the Great Maui Fire, just greatmauifire.com, greatmauifire.com. Share it, especially with normies, because this will help to wake people up to, again, not just the attack on Maui. Maui was attacked. Our people were murdered. The children were murdered and left to be alone, to die, incinerated by themselves. And that right there is, that's just not okay. So the more people that learn about this and what's coming, the more we can stop it. And that is what the book shares too, is how we can stop this together. Thank you for having me, Billy. I just really appreciate you and John very much.
Absolutely. And by the way, I'm going to recommend before we wrap it up too, because I've checked out your YouTube. You've got great videos, and obviously you're stuck there. I know you got a Rumble channel, but I do encourage you to go to Brighton and open a channel there, because I think people there, because that's an all conservative network, whereas Rumble is kind of you're going to find a little bit of everything there. Brighton, like I said, 100% conservative network, where they want to hear about things like this.
All right, I'll check that out. Thank you for that.
Yes. So on tap for next week is to be determined. But John, I still have to email the one lady you had on Common Sense Conservatives last week, and I've got a couple others I've got to send out. But,
you'll like her.
Yes, indeed. Well, I liked her when she was on the show last week, so definitely interested in talking to her. And also, real quick too, Radix Verum, it might hook us up with one of the Adolf Hitler kidnapping hoax victims, who was acquitted and now running for sheriff. Where he's at. So I definitely want to hear from him. So with that said, thank you very much for tuning in to Patriot Confederation. Michelle, thank you very much for your time. God bless you, and keep up the good fight.
Mahalo, you too.
All right. With that said, God bless the Republic of the United States of America.